into computer programming, just not a coworker, or to like
We're
be a
live, just
lawyer.
FYI.
Okay, yeah.
You know
Will
the
Tabby be joining us?
the funny thing is because digital technologies become so more like available, video production should be a trade job actually now.
Dude, yeah, in many parts it is. The video essayist Dan Olson of Folding Ideas, like this is part of the suggestion that like he made to like people want to get in the film industry in a vlog video he did with Lindsay Ellis. It's where it's just like, well, Lindsay Ellis went to the film school like route of like paying $70,000 for like a 4-year degree at like University of Spoiled Children, UCS, as the University of Southern California, USC. Yeah, that's what it is. The city of the blue here kinds of boop. But she's still paying off that like the Lindsay Ellis is still paying off the college debt for like that because like it is that prestige like film school because it's right in LA, and some people have like was in that studio film school program and just got like hired to do like a major production as it were too. But with Dan Olson, he went into this route. He went into like the trade route where he learned video editing at a trade school and stuff like that. Like a couple $1,000s for like his certificate to saying that like I passed this course, which is the same as the diploma, honestly. But he was able to like get a job in like some kind of video editing as it were in Calgary. To like and that job in of itself paid for his education to do it this work. So yeah, definitely video editing, video graphing, it's that sort of thing too, is a trade. And like definitely you can like just go to a trade school to learn that trade and like to go into like films into that.
Well, I think the problem for me is that I live in Tallahassee and there's not a lot of, so like a lot of it's just where you live,
sure,
and who you know.
Yeah.
Because
think about direction, wonder why you haven't before.
Because when I went to film school, I was in a class where like the other kids or the other students were like they would shoot videos of cars because there'd be a lot of like car shows down south, so they knew people in that industry, whereas I don't know anyone. So
welcome to the city.
Yeah, the only real value you get out of college is your professors will get you your first job. Unless you go to an Ivy League school, in which case you also make friends with people who go on to become rich. And so you have industry connections that way.
Yeah.
It's all about networking and using people because this is capitalism. Everything you can learn at college, you can learn by going to your public library.
Yep.
Well, the thing about it is when we're in elementary school, this is what my dad would do. It's like they scare you a lot about like if you fail a standardized test, you can't go to the next grade. So, and then if you can't go to the next grade, you fail, and then you flunk, and then you get a custodian job because you didn't pass the standardized tests. So
now you live in a van down by the river.
Yeah, working for the man every night and day.
No, the whole idea that someone should have to go via this specific route where you always hit these specific goals if you're this person, if you're anyone, it's kind of ridiculous, isn't it?
Yeah.
But I mean, the whole thing is based on a lie because college was never really about improving yourself or getting a better career. It was always just what rich people did, and people got the thing backwards. I mean, education is a good thing in and of itself, but it was never a path to improving things.
Yeah.
It just happened to be the case because the global empire opened up and we transferred a lot of wealth out of the rest of the world after World War II.
And a lot of the ways we do, what's it called, like primary, middle school, secondary education, a factory line sort of method.
Yes,
and it was deliberately designed that way in the middle of the 19th century.
Yeah,
exactly.
Literally designed to be that way.
and so yeah, it's and that's why for me it was always just like a personal decision to not go to college because I didn't want the debt, as it were. And I guess there was a couple of things I feel like it's missing from the college experience, but like I don't but like I don't see how like I had to specifically go to college for that kind of like experiences where I can see how it's useful to like get into like groups and work together into groups because that will help you in the real world of when you get a job and that sort of thing too. But yet I can see how like now like for my mom, how she always said that like it was like a very useful experience for her to go to college only because she like grew up in a very small town in Michigan who like over a decade ago finally got their first stop sign essentially. Norway, Michigan. She likes to also, I already heard this story before. She has to say she's just from Norway, leaving out the Michigan part, and people think she's Norwegian because of that. Um, but yet, my mom hasn't noticed it. Like, actually, Jonathan, for you living in like the Seattle suburb, as it were, I've already made so many people from like diverse groups already. I don't need to like break that small town experience of her experience and to go into college to finally meet a black person, for example, as it were. I'm sure she had met a black person in Norway, Michigan. There's a
yeah, his name is Earl.
It was a no. It was a white person who didn't take a bath. That was a black person, the first one she met.
Mhm.
But yeah, I mean, yeah, it's tough. But I think what it really is that being on the spectrum, I don't relate to a lot of people, so I think that's the problem.
Mhm.
So it's like I showed you, John. That's the music that I listen to. It's
right.
it's shit that people kind of wouldn't care about, but all right.
But
And
I can definitely see how like one can vibe with it. I'll just like put into a leak the live chat that like the music that Isaiah sent to me. Just like you have to like 30 minutes of like a vaporwave and single wave and something like that. But I can
it's
throw
my
some.
chill music.
Mm-hmm.
When I'm at home reading Calvin and Hobbes in my pajamas.
It is interesting to read Calvin Hobbes to that, but I guess it's just like this is just something to like you read and chill to, and then like what you chill with as you're reading Calvin Hobbes. That's a very common like thing to read.
Although I wish I had like a girlfriend maybe I could chill with, but it'll come.
Netflix and chill? No, it's Netflix and cry yourself to sleep. That's the world now.
That's too real for some of my friends, unfortunately. So welcome everyone. Hello.
Before we get started, I think it's important that we share the most important news of the past week, namely that each of us individually is now worth nearly $1 billion more than Alex Jones.
Fuck that guy.
Yes, forget Alex Jones. At least the Bats is going to pay something, as it were. Because yeah, he lost all of his like lawsuits, and now it's like they have to pay exorbitant amount of like the damages to like the victims of the Sandy Hook shooting, as it were.
And his lawyers aren't just incompetent; they're so incompetent they might get disbarred.
Well,
one of
because
them
they
should.
shared confidential medical records that they were not supposed to share. Because they didn't bother to look at stuff they were handing over.
That's what I was going to say. Is they literally shared with all of their case files with everyone, and in there was confidential medical information.
Yep.
So they
went from
disbarred.
incompetent to nearly criminally incompetent.
But the being incompetent to the level of you lost the case even before you get to court is like
hand over
ridiculously
evidence that your client has committed perjury. I mean, maybe
with Alex Jones at least, so we weren't going to get very far anyway.
Yeah, I mean, because he is also criminally incompetent.
So in Florida, the Parkland shooter got life in prison instead of the death penalty.
You know what? I'm fine
he
with
white?
that.
I'm guessing that's why.
But yeah, that would be most reason why he would just get life in prison instead, like death penalty in Florida.
I don't know, maybe. But of course, a lot of people were mad about it, and then I saw a
Get
Fox
white.
News segment, and then I saw a Fox News segment about it, and Fox News was saying that God supports the death penalty. Now, funny enough,
Well,
when I
no,
used to
that's
go-
true. God kills a lot of people.
when he does,
If you look in the Bible, Satan kills maybe 9. God kills everyone
yeah.
repeatedly.
Yes.
Well, funny enough, when I used to go to a black church when I was a Christian back then, our pastor never talked about the death penalty ever. So I guess white churches are just that way.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
They're psychotic. They have a lot of
Well,
Viking.
not all white churches. Hashtag.
Not the new age ones, but a lot of those old, as I call them, cracker churches. Sorry.
No. Fair.
That's our
Fucking
word.
fair.
That's fair.
Having been
They're
raised in them,
mayonnaise
that is
churches.
fair.
They're mayonnaise Karen churches.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's like God said that we should kill. It's like, damn, God's like a dick.
But the thing is,
Catholic.
they're getting
Raised
more
Catholic.
and more that way because younger people just aren't going to church anymore because the white supremacists have successfully co-opted Christianity in the U.S.
Right? Yeah,
I mean,
he brought in this guy who I guess was like James Holmes' minister, and like James Holmes was the Aurora shooter, and he was like, "There's actually the part where the Bible actually agrees with the death penalty." So there, and I'm like, "Oh, Fox." See, the thing about Fox News and how they see Jesus or God is the way how like sometimes Germany sees their leaders. They need a strong authoritarian father figure.
They're fascist.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
White churches are just different, aren't they?
Pretty much. Yeah.
Well, I mean, some of them you get. It takes all kinds to make a religion. So there's charismatic Christians, and there's evangelical Christians, and there's all sorts of different white churches.
Yeah.
But yeah, they're all turning into Fox News Christians because the young people are just not going anymore. Tevi.
having been raised in what was considered a liberal Christian church, Episcopal church back in 90s, early 2000s. All the things that I later learned in life were coded racism. I first heard spoken there.
Mm-hmm.
All the things that were very much so, oh, well, what's like coming up with discussions about, well, can the women be priests? It was a big controversial thing because there were a lot of white women who actually, like, a lot of older white women who actually believe, like, oh, but a woman is supposed to get married and be subservient to her husband, and that's just how it is. I had a lot of trouble just when I first learned about homosexuality. I learned about it because people were saying that it should be banned.
Yeah, the Episcopalian Church has never been particularly liberal, although they did ordain a lesbian bishop, which caused a schism, and a lot of the churches left.
I would agree. They've never been terribly liberal. But when I go and I tell people who don't know anything about the Episcopal Church that I was raised Episcopalian, frequently, and this is the reaction of white people, they're like, oh, but that's the really liberal church.
No, they're thinking of Lutherans. Episcopalian is Catholic light.
What about Quakers?
They are very liberal.
Yeah.
I mean, there can be conservative Quakers, but overall they tend more liberal. Because theirs is a non-authoritarian, non-patriarchal sort of church. Their meetings, they don't have preachers.
Yeah.
Their meetings are just free form, and people just get up and speak whenever they want.
Well, the meetings are, from what I understand, are more consensus basis, as it were. David Graeber talked about this when he and Direct Action Network of New York in 2001 was going visit Quaker House as they went to plan their summit protests at the in Quebec City, is that like you got to talk to the Quakers and how they do run meetings, which is tied into the religions of a lot of spirituality, a lot of, but like how they run the meetings with consensus-based decision-making processes were is similar to what Direct Action Network of New York was like trying to do of like making decisions like kind of like the anarchist way, as it were. But again, they're all Direct Action Network in New York was kind of learning from the very beginning of like people that were like doing it for like generations, as it were. And yeah, a lot of growing pains involved in doing that too, as it were.
Yeah, I've been to white churches. I've been to a Mormon church one time. Mormons. Now, if you want to hear something a weird story about
Wow,
okay,
you got dipped in racism when you went to that church.
no. I mean, most of the people there were white. There was like maybe one Asian girl there, and I was like, man, I have not seen so many white people in my life.
They were probably really thirsty for you.
Dude, one time when there was like there was like a rally here, and you guys know who Franklin Graham is, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think I heard the name. Yeah,
I'm quite familiar. I went to a rally not a rally, but a revival run by his dad when I was a teenager.
Yeah. So like me and some atheists were protesting it, and now these atheists were like the David Silverman atheists. I'm so glad I'm not part of them anymore. But they were
David
like
Silverman.
Yeah. It was like the entire audience was like maybe like 200 people, all white people, all old. But then when there was like there's another guy named William Barber. He does like a moral majority march. He's like a black pastor. His congregations are always like mixed race, white, black, young, old. So it's just crazy.
When you walked into that Mormon church, I imagine that this is what you heard. It's from the movie Blast from the
What are
Past.
you looking at?
Oh, my lucky stars! A Negro!
Say what?
Well, okay, that is one of my favorite movies. I'm glad you actually
Yes.
how much of a '90s fan I am, and how much of a huge crush I have on Alicia Silverstone. So I'm glad I picked them. I'm glad you did that. But yeah, essentially, I was invited to it. I didn't just walk in there. Wait, what did you call me?
Can I touch your hair?
Okay, at least that didn't happen in Blast from the Past. But God, that would so totally happen if a white person meets a black person for the first time. And no, you can't.
You want me to break your hand?
Why do they want to touch you?
I don't know. I don't know. It's like so different than their own. I don't know. It's I can't explain white people. I think that's the best take home.
I did have a white person cut my hair one time. They did a good job, but then again, I don't really give a shit because as long as I got a haircut, I didn't care.
Yeah.
I remember back in college, freshman year,
They were white.
Arel needed a haircut. And Austin said, "Hey, come to my barber." Yeah. And I was like, "Okay, wait, it's a black barber shop." And Austin said, "No, don't worry, they know how to cut white hair." And Arel came back having lost nearly all of his hair, having been given a buzz cut.
That is one way to get it. Joe McClory was raised Catholic and including Catholic school until 8th grade. At least for me, I was only in Catholic school. Like it was like Sunday school, but I was on like Wednesday nights because they offered it then. Until like the elementary school. Basically, I stopped going to the Catholic school before my parents stopped taking me to like churches. Were definitely my oldest brother had like the most interesting experience of that thing, where it's just like it was young teacher, very young, like early 20s, as we're going on of like basically the same whole thing. It's just like today there's like so much news about like murder and rape and like theft and like crimes in this world and stuff like that. Unlike the good old days when everyone was like more like religious as it were. No, my older brother, I don't know, middle school or something like that. I forgot when, but he even like stood up like, actually, crimes have gone down. I don't know why that's the case and how much problem that can be, but crimes have gone down since then. The only reason that like we see more often in the news is because the news sensationalizes it, and so so that's kind of standard thing. To which
Well,
like the teachers
Also, getting rid of lead from gasoline and paint has made a big difference.
yeah, that
the Republicans have spent like I think what $40 million on ads on crime in them for the is it Wisconsin? For the Wisconsin, and I'm like, well, with all that money, could you also just put that money towards preventing crime instead of accusing the other guy? And that's
because like crime is like a useful as a talking point to like win elections.
Willie Horton.
well, my autistic communist ass thinks that maybe that 40 million could be used to prevent crime.
No,
But-
because if they prevented
Beating
crime, how would
house
they scare
people?
white people?
Yes.
Also, preventing crime requires money, and throwing money at the problem. And if you're just giving away free money is the way that they see it. And you can't have that, not in capitalism.
But it's not giving away free money. It's investing in
No,
society
see,
to.
no, they don't want to help people. They want to own people.
Yeah.
Mostly you. They want to own you as a slave, literally, as property.
Yeah. Yep. The jails. The jails.
I'm not for sale.
Part of that
Except maybe to
Christian
Avril
work
Lavigne.
ethic.
Yeah. Well,
Definitely.
yeah. I mean, a lot of things. Well, I do notice that we do make a fortune warehousing people.
Because
Yeah.
they work for pennies a day.
Yeah,
Yeah.
They can be forced to work. It's the giant loophole in the 14th Amendment. No
And I
more
do-
forced labor
13th.
except as punishment for a crime.
That was
And
the
I'm
13th
just-
Amendment, but yeah.
13th.
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah. I'm just like I'm glad I'm an atheist because when I walk around in the world, I'm like I don't see God. I see misery.
Is this guy was talking to me at the bus stop I don't, and I see him all the time at the bus. This was we come pretty much I take the same bus like going home. I just get off at all your stop, but it's like I don't know why it is that like he started talking to me about like so he first asked, "Do you know what the Ashkenazi Jews are?" And I think I was like, "Yeah, I am." I was wearing my
dude,
Boba
that's
Fett
not a good
vest.
start.
Yeah.
I thought you said astronaut Jews. I was like, what?
Okay, those are awesome, but like, no, Ashkenazi Jews, the original Jewish people, and I was like, and part of me is thinking, where's this going to? And then immediately Bible talk, and it's just like, oh God, it's just God put you here for a reason. No, I'm a great cosmic coincidence. I'm fine with that. And it's just like, so it's
I
like,
think when people like say that, I think they don't know their own worth in life. So they have to make something up vicariously to give their life's meaning.
yeah, as it were, it's just like it's
Also, they don't know anything about math and science.
Yeah, very true. Because again, it's just like I don't care about the afterlife. I don't. And maybe he's like the Thor is up there. Maybe he's like Zeus is up there, and like at least with Zeus, I can talk about something. And at least he like kind of recognizes his own flaws. Kind of.
Yet, I'm not sure. There's a lot to talk about Zeus that I'm not sure we could get away with talking about on a YouTube channel.
And also,
Yeah,
the
no
Greek
shit.
gods were dicks because the Greeks
True.
recognized that
Yes.
the world is a shitty place. So when you start worshiping one god, it doesn't earn you the favor of that god. It earns you the enmity of another god who's upset that you're not worshiping him or her.
I mean, the only thing I have to say about the Greek gods is you look into the story of Sisyphus, and Sisyphus literally made everyone immortal. And the reason he's pushing a rock up a hill is because one of the gods is like, hey, I can't get as much enjoyment because I can't kill people anymore.
Oh, yeah, Ares was pissed.
Yeah.
That was the rationale for why death is good. Because chaos will-
Yeah.
Never
Yeah,
mind
that's
all the other
exactly it.
reasons why death is necessarily a natural part of existence. I had to go with that one.
Well, I thought didn't Kirk say? Wait, I don't remember the quote from Wrath of Khan. It was something how he faced death is how he faced life. I don't know. It was some shit from Wrath of Khan and Star Trek. I don't remember the quote.
I have to rewatch Wrath of Khan. It's still a good movie. Yeah, over the top acting, of course, yes, but it's still a really good
Hey,
movie.
would people from India would they get mad? Okay, if I met a guy named Khan and I did the Kirk Khan, they get
That
mad
was
at me.
David Marcus who said, "You knew enough to tell Savik that how we face death is at least as important as how we face life."
Hmm. And to answer your question, maybe it's like if they're a Star Trek fan as well. Again, this may remind me. It's like they heard all the time. Like I was playing Magic the Gathering against someone. His name is literally Sam Wise. So I always says like, I bet that you had all the jokes that like it made to you about like Lord of the Rings, right? It's just like, I have a teacher that always called me Gamgee, no matter what. I even told him to stop, but he just still would call, because such a Tolkien fan, he would call me Gamgee, as it were. So it's just like, just do it that way. Don't make the joke that everyone has already made. Just like say it's like, I bet you're tired of that joke too, aren't you?
Yeah, talk about the Goonies, or talk about Stranger Things.
I haven't seen Stranger Things at all, but like
Me
Goonies-
neither. I
It's
saw the
nostalgia
first
porn. It's just that's really all it is.
Yeah, that's what I
It's
figured.
for kids of
Yeah.
the '80s. It's just that's what it is.
Yeah, I don't get it. I watched maybe like one episode of it, and I was just like, I don't get this at all.
Well, that's because you're a '90s kid. Of course, you don't get it.
Yeah, see, the thing that's hard to really understand about the '80s is that everything was brown.
Yes.
Hmm.
What?
Yep. Different
Brown.
different shade brown, different shades and tints, because you could sometimes have
If
like
you were feeling fancy,
baby
it might be a
shit
dull
brown.
orange.
like a baby shit brown with a little bit of green added in. But yeah,
Weird.
Yeah, I don't know. I think well, and also the like.
I mean,
especially,
everything
like,
on
the
TV
early 80s,
was neon,
It's
but everything at home was brown.
why
Mm-hmm.
why would you be like obsessed with a time when like you could get like nuked and shit? Like what's the
It's just childhood, and also white people loved the '80s because Reagan.
Yeah, there's that too.
yeah? Well, I mean, unless you were a white guy, because I don't.
Oh, it reminds me. I saw this wild thing on a drive, and I took a picture. I'll get it. Oh wait, it's right here. I'll send it to you, Jonathan.
Okay.
Relative to Reagan.
That just like death quickly remind me one thing that's like my brother saw at like outside of a church right in like Kent, actually, not far from here, is where it's just like destiny, it's a matter of choice, and my brothers are like, no, it's not. Oh, the churches around my area. They're diverse in the way, in the variations of whiteness that we have. There is like a Jehovah's Witnesses one. There's a Lutheran ones, and then like a secular one. Like it's just like, people just like do cool things with each other, sort of nice things. And hello Von Rock, and hello Lucidia. And sorry for not mentioning about like the chat that's going on, and like, oh, Lucidia, that's like a terrible that like you had to like about to lose your disability because like you changed your name and gender and then social security, and now it's up to review because like lost insurance and like updating records, so talks to prove it. You have many comrades that in this call and like in the chat with the sympathy of like that experience we're dealing with social security and like changing in gender and all that sort of thing. More
You know what we
reasons
should
for-
do? We should get rid of all government and white people.
No, not necessarily white people, but definitely whiteness.
Who is Isaiah going to date then?
We can get rid of whiteness, and there'll be still plenty of white girls around for like the date as well.
We just won't call them white. They'll just be light-skinned, melanin deprived.
Yes.
The people for whom sunburn is a problem.
Yes.
So someone wanted to educate me on the different sexualities out there.
Yes.
stuff.
Just that this was a hint that I put in the title of the stream.
Mhm.
1 or 11. Anyone play Blackjack?
I've never played it. I've never
Oh,
actually.
it's an ace. Yeah.
Yep.
Either plays have 1 or 11, depends on like basically if it's advantageous for it or not. And it's like, oh
And
god.
we're talking about Ace today.
Tavi sent me the picture basically of a license plate, not just a bumper sticker, but a license.
No, there's no
plate.
license plate there. The car doesn't have a license plate. It's up on a flatbed. It's not street legal.
I can't see the picture.
She sent it to me in like a DM. I have to like figure out way to like save the image or something like that, or post it somewhere because like yeah. Or maybe I can just like save it and
You can
share
right
it.
click save.
Yeah.
Like so. I have done it.
Oh.
mm,
But yeah,
yes.
I was
Oh, God.
I was out with my housemate. We were doing some things, and we got to a stoplight, and somebody was towing this old car, this old Chrysler that legit still had a Reagan bumper sticker on it, and I'm like, I don't think you would really want people to know you were a fan of Reagan, but
Well,
then again,
no,
it looked like it
Republicans
was a
still
classic
worship
car.
at their altar.
There's still a lot of people who are very pro Reagan, and
Remember, Trump
some people who are pro Iron Lady.
Yeah.
Trump-
Yeah,
Trump
they've even
repeated
shined
up
Reagan's
his-
slogan. You know,
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, Reagan is Republican Jesus, so.
Pretty much, yeah. What do you say, Joey?
Oh, they've even shined up his legacy.
Mm-hmm.
They pretend that it was all Oliver North, that he had nothing to do with Iran-Contra.
Mm-hmm.
They don't usually even mention Contra.
Yep, that's what like a Tavi like sent to me. It's just like
Wow. It's not. They're not even hiding it either.
it's so vintage as well. Wow, it's just like Reagan is America. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I
Well,
felt okay with it because there's no license plate or identifying info. So
Exactly, yeah.
remember when the Challenger exploded and Reagan made that speech about how the astronauts went to touch the face of God? So then, like, what? So was God like the popper? So were the astronauts like a mosquito and God just swatted them away or something? Or I don't know.
I mean, as Kirkwood said, excuse me, what does God need with a spaceship?
No. It's what does God need with a space shuttle?
And that's true. Like contact wrench. Reagan was the first celebrity politician, as it were. Yeah, he was like, he had it's a popular TV show for the time where he co-starred with a chimpanzee, as it were, and
he
wrote
was a popular movie star. Yeah.
and he wrote.
I'd argue that most presidents before him were celebrities in some respect.
True, very true.
But he was
Look at-
the first who was a celebrity before he became president.
Look at JFK.
Mm.
It's kind of weird. It's just like, well, hold on, I'm like a musician, like an athlete, and it's just like, no, actually, there's like quite a few of them as it were. Something that we just like know. We just know how like if like Carl Weathers like won his like bid for the governor of like Philadelphia, then like the movie Predator would have like 3 future like governors in that movie because like was Arnold
Philadelphia has a
Schwarzenegger.
mayor. Pennsylvania has a governor.
I would have
Pennsylvania.
told Carl Weathers is fucking governor of Pennsylvania. Get the fuck out of here. I love Carl Weathers.
Everybody loves
I
Carl
think-
Weathers.
Sometimes when a celebrity like goes into politics, like Al Franken, that's like, no, that makes sense. He talks about politics all the time. It was,
You know who I wanted? Jesse Ventura. Jesse Ventura.
he's interesting person, and at least with him politically, he's very different as were. I still have my disagreements with him, but like, okay, you know what? I can see where you're coming from too, and
Well,
like
you can say for certain, on the plus side, Jesse Ventura was opposed to torture.
Yes.
unlike the Republican Party.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yes. And hello, Phoenix. How you doing?
Hey, Phoenix.
Okay,
So, we'll share the links to like give Phoenix money in the bit, but like yes, let's like actually go to the topic of like the stream. So Isaiah, have you was like last week your the first time you ever like heard of like asexuality?
I mean, I've always knew about it existed, but I never was I didn't know a lot about it because I just because like we're living in a time where people are becoming more comfortable with discussing their sexuality.
Mhm.
So I guess I'm
Confident in my
learning
sexuality.
new stuff.
Just
People
like
people want
Mariska Hargitay.
people one time said I was metrosexual at one time.
I haven't heard that word in the longest fucking time.
Well,
That is from 2000. That's a 22-year-old word.
okay, well, let me explain when they say that.
Mhm.
So like they'll say like because I'm like okay, for example, like I wear an Avril Lavigne shirt. I have like purple skinny jeans and like some Converses. They'll
That
say
doesn't
that's
make
like
you metrosexual. That makes you hipster.
Well dressed.
Stylish.
Yes.
yeah, I don't know.
Metrosexual means that you're like wearing a male blouse and putting on guy liner.
It
You're
is.
putting a lot of product in your hair. You moisturize your skin, things like that.
Or it's like in the South Park episode. So South Park, very loathsome. So trigger warning for like South Park when they say the metrosexual pride parade. We're here, we're not queer, but we're close. That was the whole thing where it's just like or as if being gay has a certain aesthetic. And this is around the time of Queer Eye for the Straight Guy too. So it's just like which I think actually some gay people, including like my uncle, like had their issues with it because of how like it's stereotyping what is a gay man to be, and
Not all gay
like
men are camp.
yeah, exactly.
Well,
As there've been men who are gay but are like basically bears for like the longest time, like the essayist that like Ian Danskin always like Crown. So I forgot his name. So where he was always like kind of like that sort of aesthetic as were a bear, but there was not a word for it. So when he was out as a gay man, and not being the flamboyantly gay man as were, is that's the kind of thing where it's just like you don't seem gay to the straights as it were, but like yeah, so that's metrosexual is like thank God at least that as like as a fad has
Metrosexual
died.
is, straight men going, "Oh my God, I am gayer than you."
Is and there's such a thing as like the Kenzie thing, and I bet there are many people that are like it, where it's just like, you know what, I would if I actually had the attraction to like men, I would be gay and have no problem whatsoever. I just happen not to be, as it were, and it's just like okay,
Otherwise,
you could be the straight best friend of like a gay man, then, as it were.
Uh-oh,
So,
Isaiah, I think we've lost your audio.
yeah, your audio is gone for some reason. Maybe it's a connection issue.
is it back?
Yep,
Yes,
you're
it's back now. Okay, good.
Okay. Yeah, I think what happens is like I don't dress like a lot of other black folks, so I guess maybe people say that who are white tend to say that. It's like or like how I talk or something. I guess they'll like say, "Oh, that must be some kind of like weird metrosexual thing." Oh,
Is
no. I've had white people who have married black men and had like children like and like they're kind of like these like white these like country white folks who are like they like rap music and stuff, and when I talk to them and when I'm like polite or whatever, their kids would ask their parents like, is he gay?
if mommy he doesn't
Because
like how my stereotype of the black person acts like, doesn't mean he's different than other black people.
well, no, because like in her mind, it's like she's only grown up. I guess they're only grown up with like black men who sound thuggy. So when she meets a black man who doesn't sound like that, I guess that means that he's gay. I guess because he doesn't talk street. I don't know. Some of these racist stereotypes are actually pretty hilarious. I mean, they're awful, but they're pretty hilarious, at least from my standpoint.
Yeah, it's like
Apparently he's gay because he listens to
Avril Lavigne.
or Pearl Jam, and he talks like normal, and I guess that means he's gay. I guess. I don't know.
There's a lot to unpack there, isn't it?
Oh, I've had black relatives say that. Actually, they say that oh, because he's into like Pet Shop Boys, because back in like the late 2000s, I was really on a Pet Shop Boys kick, and they're saying, oh, you need to get some black music, and it's like, well, theoretically it is black music. It's just been taken from us.
Yeah, exactly. As it were. See, oh yeah, the contact Rich has a good question. Is straight boyfriend of gay dudes a reverse beard? Which Von Rack, who is gay, said like not reverse but inverse. But yeah, so talking about like gayness or queerness or like tangentially related to that, asexuality. Where to begin on that?
Topic.
Yes. Who likes to jump in on that and to like?
Well, as a cishet straight white guy, I can confidently
Shut up!
speak about this link.
Thank you, Jonathan.
As a straight cis white guy, you can shut up as it were. But also let's like bring up the term. You're also allosexual. Big difference is just kind of like with like there are trans people need a word for non-trans people as well. Cis. So. People who are so allosexual is the name for like the people who are not asexual, as it were. So it's like we all know allosexuality as heterosexuality, homosexuality, bisexuality, pansexuality, and like polysexuality, and all those things too. You have attraction, sexual attraction, as it were. Where if you are asexual, it's like lack of attraction, as it were, or as like its own spectrum. That's
right.
It's good to recognize that this is all a big spectrum. And so for instance, I'm demisexual, which is a form of grey sexuality, which is, yes, I have some attraction, but only some of the time or under certain conditions. So like demisexuality, I have to have known someone for 6 months to a year and have a close connection with them before I start to have any sort of romantic attraction to them, let alone sexual attraction.
But the weird thing is like growing up, I was always told, because like sexuality to, of course, the whole hotep black people is like you just fuck a girl and that's it. There's nothing else other than that. So I'm glad I'm learning all of this because it makes me just like, oh, okay, it's more than just what I've grown up with. That's cool.
Yep. As Bonrock said, I know some asexualities, but as a gay cis man, I do not like. I cannot speak for them. Even if at times I think I may have a sexual tendency, that's more of because like I don't really have much left of a sex drive. That's an important thing to bring up too. Just because someone is like asexual does not mean they don't have a sex drive. That may be the case for some of them. Some people are asexual because they are sex repulsed, as it were. But not all people that are asexual or on that spectrum are sex repulsed, as it were. It's kind of like more like when, as I explained last week, some people will just like point to that person is hot, or whoever it is, or whatever context is were. And an asexual person is like, okay. I mean, I can see.
I told people that Keanu Reeves was pretty hot, and they looked at me funny.
Well, objectively speaking, he is. Well, he has a beauty of about 773 millihelens, I believe. Where a helen is the standard unit for measuring beauty. It's the amount of beauty necessary to launch 1,000 ships. Thus, a millihelen is the amount of beauty necessary to launch a single ship.
Is this real, or did you make this up?
I stole it from somebody who was on a message board like 25 years ago.
Because Helen is that's referring to Helen of Troy. Yes.
Yeah, the face that launched 1,000 ships.
Yes.
A face that launched 1,000 ships. So, is there an opposite, a face that launched 1,000 ships backwards?
A Medusa on the Medusa
No, Trump.
skin.
Oh God!
So many reasons for.
We don't need to encourage his vanity even more.
Isaiah.
Yeah.
What is the first question about asexuality that comes to your mind? I'm redirecting the conversation.
Thank you.
Asexuality. So like I've never really asked the question because I never felt I need to ask it. But I would probably say, so I guess these are people who don't have sex. That's like, do they have sex? Do they copulate?
Oh, asexual people can absolutely have sex. It doesn't have anything to do with your sex drive.
Right.
It has to do and it doesn't have anything to do with your libido in any way. It just has to do with whether or not you find other people attractive. That's it.
Okay.
It's not about the weapon; it's about the target.
Yeah. So
right.
the way I would explain it is, and this is a bit of a crude way because I came up with it last night.
Remember, my first time hearing the word asexual was in the 1998 Godzilla movie when they were doing the pregnancy.
Oh, yes, right. Where Godzilla in that one was produced asexually, as it were, without sex, meaning that like that Godzilla was like born pregnant for some reason, as it were.
Yeah, that was my first time hearing that term.
Different use of the
Yeah.
use in biology is different than the orientation.
Yeah.
But my dorky ass heard it from a movie, so
But like Joey was already saying, there are definitely ace people who have sex, myself included. But just like Jonathan was saying about, somebody says, well, that person is hot, and I go,
If you say so.
I have no idea what you mean.
Oh, the guy.
I
I'm attracted to it. Well, he's already like engaged to someone,
Well,
but I'm attracted to a guy at my ice cream store.
That's cool.
Is that because he's hot, or is that because he gives you ice cream?
Both.
I can understand it from both angles. That's the
For
word.
example, like again, this was a handsome white dude, but I wouldn't call myself gay because I'm more attracted to women.
Well,
So,
I mean, for instance, I can personally go and point at someone and say, "Oh, that person looks attractive. That person looks aesthetically pleasing." I can tell people who look more or less aesthetically pleasing. But if you go, "Oh, that person is sexually attractive," it's like, okay. I'll take your word for it because I don't know.
like I can tell that Jason Momoa is symmetrical.
yes.
But that doesn't necessarily mean I want to fuck him.
Yeah.
Like,
That's a quote right there. Jason Momoa is symmetrical.
Also, just as an aside, now that I'm thinking about it, this also has nothing to do with kinks at all.
Right.
Ace people can have no kinks. Ace people can have kinks.
Yep.
Perfectly all right either way.
So, what do you guys think about the incels? What do
They're
they?
terrible, awful, like a
they're just
misogynist.
misogynist.
They have nothing to do with it.
They have nothing to do with it. It's a word.
Misogynist.
Yeah,
Because they are very definitely attracted to women.
Yes, exactly. And that's the thing too. Choosing to abstain from it for whatever reason, the incel reason, horrible. And this is something like my friend Garrett, who's a Buddhist, and like I said, just like, listen, I'm celibate for my religion. Buddhism is the word. Not all people who are celibate are incels. There's a big reason, the difference there, as it were.
Well, like there was one time where I was somewhat sympathetic to some of them, not because of the misogyny or anything, but because they were like autistic, lonely people trying to figure marriage out or romance. But I mean, you also just have to realize if it wasn't meant for you, it wasn't meant for you. You know what I mean? So it's like, I think we need to tell men that they're not owed sex and they may not get sex, and that's okay. We need to, not everyone is cut out for dating and romance. I mean, I hopefully I'll find someone, but it's not a guarantee. And if I don't, I guess I just don't.
And we
Yeah.
need to culturally normalize other options.
Mhm.
I say
Mhm.
masturbation.
It's just that simple.
We need more cuddle puddles.
I say
I would like
we need
cuddle
to-
puddles.
I say we need to drop the stigma on masturbation. I think we need to do that.
Yep,
That-
That's a big one.
Yeah.
But we need to increase the stigma on guys masturbating in Zoom calls.
No, no,
That's
no.
not me,
Now, Brooklyn, go sit in the corner.
I said increase, not decrease.
I know, but just the thought.
We didn't need to think about that.
But like,
It was a big problem during the pandemic. I'm just saying.
I know it was, but I just
Sometimes when I do this, because I have autism, so I bob my head. That doesn't mean I'm doing something else.
same.
it's like, if you're doing something else while in the Zoom call, please just like, make a distraction for others, and like, we don't need to know. I sometimes play video games, but just like, I don't share that fact to like everyone in Zoom call. They don't need to know.
I have silly putty I play with.
But the cuddle puddles, like that's an excellent way that like. So I asked Necronomicon last night. Necronomicon's pansexual. We were playing golf with your friends. But like one of her partners, Joan, her live-in girlfriend, is asexual. How Joan would like to describe it is that like she's a cuddle slut, as it were. Enjoys cuddles a lot, as it were, as opposed to just like the sex or the sexual attraction, as it were. She doesn't mind sex, but it's just like, okay, but like I want cuddles, and that's one of the things too, where it's just like, and we can also touch on how like, as you're saying, you're just like don't know like if you're romantically attracted to someone, or like how to like peruse that sort of thing too. There's sometimes for some people they just don't know if they are sexually attracted to others or not, or romantic attraction too, which is another important thing as well, because like this also
that's another portion of it is, some people are not sexually attracted to other people, but they are romantically.
Yes, I just think we need to just accept that there's just people who like the whole like dynamic of like heterosexual, like that's only like part of a larger thing. And you know what I noticed about it as someone who is cis and hetero is like it's always the people who are like against it who are like the most ugliest people you can imagine. And I'm like, because like, no, but hear me out, because like I would see like protests who would like come, like people who would like protest against LGBTQ stuff in schools or whatever, and they'll come to the meeting and they'll have their biker shit on with all their Vietnam War patches. They'll have these huge beards, and I'm like, dude, you're not a prize yourself. So why are you telling these other people they can't get married, but you like what?
The thing is like the biker aesthetic. Some people can get into that, as there's a whole like a subsection of like a gay man called leather, and that's a thing too.
Yeah.
But that's a different thing as well.
And if you watch movies in the 80s, that's all gay men were.
Pretty much. Well, or like in metal, the reason Rob Halford kind of like was very influential in the metal scene for the look of metal, as it were. But he admitted, like, I just went to a BDSM like a shop to buy like a whole bunch of gear to have my bandmates wear and stuff like that, and that became the look as it were too.
But then again, when it comes to war, because I said Vietnam War, isn't all war like sexual frustration? Sexual frustration.
No, it's usually
No.
profit or migration.
Yeah, it's like power or like
Historically, it was about migration, just population buildups. It's only when you get to capitalism that it turns into a profit motive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I gotta run, but I'll but since this is my last day here, obviously I'll be at home next Sunday, and I'll obviously
Okay. And definitely we'll continue the conversation about like asexuality, so that like you can have, and we'll give you resources as well, like like the YouTube video that like Tavi shared with me, as it were, from like the lingerie model that's like asexual, as it were, because
Jasmine Bennell.
she's like Oh, awesome. So I'll share that link of like the interview she did at like a Seps Pack Lunch, a British like a show right
And
there.
also I shared my second YouTube channel with you, John. It's called the Autistic Mauler Society. So I'll make sure you share that one too.
Will do.
Will do.
All right, take care, Isaiah.
Bye guys. See you next week.
Bye. So yes. Romantic attractions is separate from like a sexual attraction, and there are people who are aromantic as well as like asexual, and some that they'll like are asexual but panromantic as well, because like it's the two separate things. And sometimes like it's hard to know if you're romantically attracted to someone or not too, which is its own thing. And like, hello neurodiversity.
What the fuck is romantic attraction? I don't get when people describe things as platonic and romantic, because I see them using the two words and then doing the same things.
Yes, but with romantic attraction, you're not allowed to do that same thing with another person.
No, that's monogamy.
I know,
which
I'm
is
just saying.
also something else. Because that's actually a conversation I had with a coworker who, like, no, he first asked me long distance relationships. It's like I've never been in one, but I have my friends are in the one, and it's like, that's good. Oh, but how does it work? It's like, oh, they'll just make it work. I was like, for some people, like they have long distance relationships with their many partners, as were, and that's where I brought up like polyamory, and which is a totally different thing, but like definitely asexual. People,
Polyamory is how you can afford rent.
Wait, what?
It's how you can afford rent.
There is actually an argument for that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly.
You're not wrong.
Sad but true.
I mean, it is actually like I've read like experiences from different poly groups, and one of the things that comes up is it's easier to afford basic resources if you can share a house with a whole bunch of people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, basically, that's all marriage ever was economic bullshit. Before that,
Yeah.
people just fucked and had kids. Or not.
Remember, people do not drink and park because accidents cause people. I read that on a bumper sticker one time and I laughed out loud. Oh.
I don't really understand romantic relationships either. Unless I'm in a what's it called? Unless I've found someone who I'm actually romantically attracted. The rest of the time, I'm just like, I don't quite understand what's going on here.
Mhm.
Yeah, I didn't really understand them until I met my first husband.
Mhm.
And then I understood it with him. But it was one of those cases where, like, I don't know what anybody sees in anybody else.
Same.
That's fair.
What they would like to see is themselves in the other person. Physically.
Yeah, just like on Whose Line Is It Anyway? What do you like in a girl? Well, other than me. But that, you know, that it's like normalizing it's okay to like not be in a relationship disorder. I can definitely speak from my experiences where, because like I'm 38, I'm a virgin, and haven't had any serious like relationships in it. But if like over like a decade ago, just like chatting with like people on the bus on the way home, and it's like, no, I never had a girlfriend. You never had a girlfriend? It's like, yeah, I never have a good. Why? After high school, I just go home and play Morrowind. That's what I did on most of my nights and weekends. That's what I did. That's what I was interested to do. Really? Never dated anyone? No, only a couple of times. Why? So I don't know. Maybe I haven't met the right person. Which is like, you know, I love like Yemis Bennett, like when she was asked that question, because yeah, she gets that all the time as being asexual. You haven't met the right person. And so okay, then she likes to throw it back onto like that. Okay, then you're maybe a gay man and haven't met the right men then. So you
No,
see,
I mean, I went through a whole stream where I just read through a study of asexual people. That was just asexual people sending in their own what's happened to them over time and all that sort of stuff, and literally went through the section that was discrimination and how the sort of what comes up, and that, oh, you haven't found the right man, but the right man is me thing comes up quite often. It's like that's the same sort of stuff as lesbian anti-lesbian bullcrap.
Mm-hmm.
Anti-gay bullcrap.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And also it's like a thing is like asexuality is a spectrum. Like Paige is like demisexual. My older sibling is also demisexual. Grace is also a thing where it's just like
Demisexual was part of Grey Ace.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, that's true.
Spectrum.
Mm-hmm. And same thing with romantic attraction and that sort of thing too. It's just like all in various degrees. It can be like one, you can be like all. It's just like, yeah, it's a thing.
I just remembered one of the responses on that thing was that the therapist said that they should fuck a firefighter
The
to cure their asexuality.
Did you, with a baseball bat to the therapist.
Yeah, I hope that was the next thing to happen. To be honest, would have deserved it.
I
Cannot
forgot to turn the microphone
Thanks
back
for
on.
that. Thanks for that, Tabby.
All right. I just linked the survey that Paige mentioned. That stream that Paige was talking about, I was there for that stream. That was actually the first time I really got a proper education on what asexuality is. And then it took me a couple more years of studying ace stuff to realize, oh, wait, this is me.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm remembering now with Paige mentioning it. Yeah, there's should be a content warning with going through that survey where it does get into some of those experiences, including basically ace people being encouraged towards effectively conversion therapy.
Yep.
There is also discussion in there of it gets referred to as, quote, corrective rape, as in people thinking that rape is a way to basically to erase queer people.
Mm-hmm.
That gets into there. There has been a few different times people are like, oh, but are ace people part of the whole LGBTQIA plus et cetera, et cetera. The experience of being ace in terms of facing all these different forms of the world being like trying to force you to not be ace is exactly the same as the rest of the queer community, because ace is not like people are like, oh, but there are straight ace people. I'm like, no, because their orientation is ace.
Mm-hmm.
That's
They're hetero-romantic.
they could be heteroromantic, yeah. But that's not.
I've literally had people who have been like, well, no, all aces shouldn't be part of the thing, even if they're homoromantic, even if they're biromantic, whatever. No, regardless, they are out of the community, and that was one of the reasons behind doing that stream, going through this survey. I was talking to some people and they're like, oh, no, ace people don't get any sort of discrimination. It's like, no, they do.
Mm-hmm.
It's subtle, but it's definitely there.
When are you gonna find somebody? When are you gonna settle down? When are you gonna have kids?
I got that from a coworker at like my mom's like barbecue for her birthday as I worked in, and it's just like I was like, I forgot how I responded, but I remember my first instinct is like, why the fuck do you care?
You seem like such a nice boy. Why won't you settle down?
is, oh, I must be in a breeder relationship as soon as possible, right? Is that what you're thinking?
And then there's the other end of when ace people do, knowing they are ace, choose to be in a relationship and possibly even have children. They're told, oh, but why would you do that? Like, if you
You
do
must
that,
not really
clearly
do
you're
this.
not ace. And it's like, no, that's not how it works.
Or aren't you thinking about your partner? They want to have sex. It's like, firstly, it's not
Not a
about,
relationship's about sex.
not every relationship's about sex. And
In fact,
the other,
like, what is
the
it,
other
90
thing of it. Oh, sorry.
Oh, I was just gonna say, like 99% of any allosexual relationship is not about sex too.
Yeah.
Like,
It's mostly about deciding what to have for dinner.
Yep.
What to watch tonight. Or what to do as a couple as well. And that can include cuddle puddles as well.
What
We're
color
going
do you
out
want
on
the sheets to be?
Shall we do the whites first or like the rest of the colors? And turn laundry. Turn laundry.
Do we need to take the car out for an oil change?
Did you fill up the gas tank last night? I'm gonna run by the grocery store. Do you like? Are we low on anything like that? Much like any kind of relationship with either family members, that's almost how we are, and with my brothers. Even though I wish I wasn't living with my Trump supporter younger brother, but that's a whole other thing too. It's that kind of like, yeah. It's just like, come on. It's like, yes, you can be asexual and be in a relationship because, and you can not be, and that's okay too. And it's like, like for me, just like I haven't like looked through it like to see if I may be on like the asexual spectrum. So for now, I just like know for sure that like I am attracted to people, but it's I only changed like my how I identify my sexual attraction when it's just like I've met a non-binary person, attracted to this person, and this person says I'm not a woman, so it's like I'm still attracted to that person. So is there a word to kind of like Kaba said, like, I'm attracted to women and non-binary folks. Oh, polysexual. I'm attracted to more than one gender, but not all genders. Like, there we go. And yeah, so it's like, is one of the things where it's like finding the words to like explain your how you are. It's just like some people like can kind of just always known that they're like, my older sibling kind of always knew that like they were only attracted to people that they were romantically interested in or like really good like friends with beforehand as it were, and then they just like years ago realized like, oh wait, that's a term, demisexual as it were. And yeah, this is all part of it, discovering yourself as it were. And it's okay to question too.
Healthy. I would say it's more than okay to question. It's healthy to whatever your orientation, gender identity is, to spend some time considering your relationship with attraction and gender and all that.
yeah, I'd encourage anybody to question, just because.
No, they should conform.
If you
be like everyone else.
if you're cishet,
Shut up, John Brockman.
and you question whether or not you're cishet, but you're gonna come back to being cishet. I mean, that's gonna
Well,
be
actually,
your
no. I'm
fail
pretty
safe.
sure that gay is contagious. That's how it works.
John Brockman, I'm going to put you in a box. It's your cat. Or we're going to take away the cardboard box you love to be in.
Either or.
But yeah, like the process of going through and questioning and examining your own relationship with those things, and then coming out the other end with an answer that you find suits you, only just kind of, it is an affirming experience no matter what the outcome is.
Sounds hard.
It's hard
Can I
if
just
you
like
don't
make people do things I want without having to think about it? Can I just be
No. No, that's a bad thing, John Brockman.
Yeah,
And you're not rich. You can't really do that well.
a friend and I were having a rant last night after seeing something that basically amounted to, what the fuck is it with white men and constantly when confronted with, being asked to have empathy for and understand the experiences of other people, their response is frequently, "Oh, but that's work." Why are they so lazy? I know. Okay,
Because
so I know
they're
like the lazy things,
privileged.
but it's like they are very much so averse to the work of empathy.
Because they're
Yes.
privileged and they don't have to be.
They feel uncomfortable when they're thinking about like, oh, black people have different experiences than me as a white person. Oh, like queer people have different experiences than me as a straight person,
No,
and
that can't be correct. They're just wrong.
I think it's also tied into people's feelings of disgust, honestly.
mm,
If you look at the vast majority of, well, if you look at statistics, the vast majority of conservatives have a more touchy disgust level, like they get disgusted easier than
mm,
other people. And that I call it the argument of you. And that's
And
where a lot of people are coming from. They don't, the science will not get through to them. No matter
mm,
what kind of
Mhm.
science you have, it's not going to get through to them because they're coming at it from an emotional place. They they're disgusted. They feel you.
mm,
And there's nothing that can get past that argument of you except for themselves. They have to physically or not physically, mentally challenge themselves enough to be able to get past their own disgust.
mm.
But that's
Oh,
not an easy thing to do. I mean, have you ever tried to get past your own disgust?
mhm.
Yeah.
It's not easy.
Hmm.
I mean, the
Um,
same things don't disgust me as what disgusts them, but it's still not an easy thing to get past your own idea of what is disgusting.
Contact Rich, that's a good point. White men are taught emotional labor as other people's jobs and it makes them less of a man, which goes into
Mhm.
all the thing as well.
Yep.
there's also the
Yeah,
factor of
the right woman will be able to change a man. That's
oof,
Mhm.
a common thing that people try to act out a lot.
which also leads to chases. Um, but there's also the other aspect of if you do look into this stuff and then you find out you're in the wrong in the past,
That might
will
make you
you?
feel bad.
That might
Yeah.
make you feel bad as well, and that's another aspect which is also bullshit. You should just continue to figure out whether you're wrong in the past or not. But
Wait, I'm a bad person? Oh my god, I'm a bad person. It's just like, okay, just don't worry
Am I
about
a
other people.
rapist? No, it's the women who are wrong. Therefore, I belong in the Supreme Court.
Oh.
I've never met anybody who hasn't been at some level cringe in their past.
yeah,
I
Well, there's
mean,
cringe, and then there's Brett Kavanaugh. I mean,
well, yeah, but even people like that can turn around because I've seen it happen. I've seen people who they were, just absolute, just
dumpster
horrific.
fire.
Yeah, dumpster fires, the human beings, and then they went through their own personal private epiphanies and they got a clue and turned it into being just some of the most wonderful people. So I know it can happen, which is probably what makes it so frustrating that so many people won't let it happen.
Yeah.
Hmm.
I was like influenced by like a morning time, drive time radio show, a men's show for like men, where they personally believe that like, men cannot be like friends with like women, as it were. And it's like that kind of like macho
When Harry
machismo.
Met Sally definitively proved that to be true because they hooked up.
I mean, I actually knew a guy in high school who it was probably some cultural thing or something to do with their parents, but absolutely would not talk to any women. Like literally, girls would go up to him, try and talk to him, to because they had to work on something for high school, and he wouldn't talk. He would talk. He would talk to guys perfectly fine. Women, no,
Wow.
utterly refused. and it was very concerning to a lot of us.
Yeah, he has people buried in his basement now.
Hopefully not, but like it's like
Last I found out, he was actually now talking to women.
okay.
He kind of had to because he went to university.
But like is back to like that morning show. The like call the person takes the call, since we're like not the call screener. He has what he calls a platonic life partner, basically just a best friend that like he will be best friends with that person in life, platonic life partner as it were. But like they're both like straight men as it were. However, to the rest of the guys, the idea of a platonic life partner as it were is just like, as they said, one step closer to being a gay man as it were. And again,
Fellas, is it gay to have friends?
Is it gay to have lifelong friends?
Is it gay to date women?
Is it gay to fall in love with a woman, marry her, and have a child? Because apparently it is. Prince Harry is gay now. No, Prince Andrew. Prince Andrew is gay now.
Okay, let's be. Go on, Paige.
Is it gay to go to an all-men's school?
In England, yes.
Is it gay to touch your own butts?
I mean, if you read amateur erotica.
If you read amateur erotica, everything is gay.
I was also going to say, let's just reveal some of these the worst conservatives. Like I've read too many horror stories from women involved with white conservative men that ended with, why the hell does he think it's gay to wipe his own ass?
Yes. Oh,
that is actually a thing, and I'm like,
oh, the r/men's rights r/MGTOW like subreddits like have been such like dumpster fires of like humanity that Dave Fruchel has like perused through, and it's just like they actually are talking about this. Oh God. Sorry, to ease my burden, the rest of the world will know about like the men that think it's gay to wipe your own ass, as we're on this article of We Hunted the Mammoth.
I apologize for bringing it up.
No problem. I was going to bring it up anyway.
I will follow. I will follow up though with like, there's a lot to be said of all these different things that go to stigmatizing different sexualities. Have their roots in like this whole thing of, well, this whole thing that we see around us in very white dominated US society of, this is what a man is. This is all white European Christian ideas in the first place.
Yeah.
Being pushed on everything.
And it's mostly just British. Well, let's be honest, English. Let's be honest, English nobility. It's a small portion of a small portion of a small portion of humanity. I mean, it's just one culture that just happened to, by historical accident, gain global dominance.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And yeah, contact French, they don't know how apartheid works as well. Yeah, it's just like...
not until they turn
well,
like
and also through violently conquering, you know...
Well, that was part of the historical accident, that they happened to be in a position to do that.
But never mind the position, they chose to do that.
Mm-hmm.
To go out and do genocide.
Yeah.
That was their decision. They could have not done genocide.
I mean, this actually is an excellent way to segue into something I almost forgot like happened like last week. I believe it's like October 11th or 12th was Indigenous Peoples Day, as it were. And Joey, that's something you always like bring up too. Is what it's like. Listen, no. We can have the trade of spices. We can have the trade of all these other things. They can just come and say, "Hey, would you like some of this stuff?" Or what is that stuff you have there? And learn what is pepper or like bay leaves, as it were. There doesn't need to be the imperialism or the colonialism with the trade with spices or anything like that.
Exactly.
But
you
spice
don't
must
have to
flow.
have genocide with your peppers. It doesn't have to come together. Doesn't make it any spicier.
Hmm.
But judging by all the other empires, I'm pretty sure if they had had the opportunity, they would have done the same thing.
When they're empires and want to like conquer
If you're
things,
because you're specifically calling out empires,
Yes.
then yes.
Yep.
But if you're talking about other cultures,
Then
then
maybe-
no.
Yeah.
Because there's reasons that certain empires did not continue to spread across North America.
hmm
There was there's evidence that the Aztecs had come that far north, and there's good reason that they couldn't go any farther.
Mhm.
And part of that reason is because of plains peoples and their warlike tendencies of, fine, you're gonna try to take us over, we're gonna fuck with you right back, and we're gonna fuck with you 10 times harder.
hmm
And we're
Fuck
not
you,
gonna
I won't do what you tell me.
exactly.
Only in Apache.
Yes, like Joe McClory. Oh yes, bitch for Columbus, bitch. Bitch for Columbus. Yes, exactly. Hey, we will forget about like terrible person and honor the people with that like most of society forgets honestly. Yes, but yes, Joey, it was your day last week. How did you enjoy your day as it were?
I enjoyed my day basically just chilling.
Yep.
Posting up a bunch of shit posting memes
Mhm.
about bitch defer Columbitch.
Like my favorite one is just like with like the Spanish conquistadors going into like the like Aztecs were you savages, you worship like the sun and not God. It's like, yeah, bitch, at least the sun is real. Come on.
Exactly.
It's like
And it's useful. Gives us crops.
Yes.
And it only
That's-
kills
okay.
you if you go out under it for extended periods of time. If you're white.
Also, to be kind of a pain in the butt, in the European Christian mythos way of looking at the world, everything that is out in they have all this stuff about, oh, we'll bring things out into the light and the light of God and the daylight and when the sun is out, that's when all the good things are out. But in the middle of the night, in the dark of the night, and the moon is like, oh, that's all the devil's stuff. They do that. Not really necessarily supported by the Bible, and I don't know enough about Jewish traditions or Muslim traditions, and I would suspect that they would look at that and go, what the heck are you doing, Christians? But definitely that is something I've observed as part of like the European Christian mythos.
And yet the holiest day of the week is Sunday.
Right. And they want to give grief about other people thinking the sun is cool.
Well, they just want to give other people grief. That's part of the otherizing thing. You have
Yes.
to otherize the people that you're conquering. So you are going to take, even if it looks like these people are well-rounded individuals, they seem healthy psychologically and physically.
Mhm.
You're not actually investigating what it is that drove them. If you're a conqueror, you're just looking at that and going, well, it's not mine, and so I must stamp it out.
Yep.
So
This
you
is
just
new. I don't like
undermine
it.
it and undercut it and make it seem like it's infantile.
Mm-hmm.
And then you say that they're exotic, and you start.
Oh, that actually
there.
brought up a thing I was thinking about when I was thinking about asexuality for this, but I figure, Joey, you have much more room to talk on this than I do. That one of the things like ace people run into is whiteness has different ways it sexualizes each different group of people.
Yes,
And
it does.
there is a specific way that whiteness sexualizes white people because it wants to produce more white babies.
Mm-hmm.
This does not equate to the experiences that like Joey could talk about that I would rather let Joey talk about and shut up about. If Joey was
Yeah.
interested in talking about that.
Yeah, there's definitely ways that white people have otherized other cultures and races, and because that's what it is, it's a form of otherization. Fetishization is a form of otherization. It's the reason it's so unhealthy. So when you're talking about like Native Americans, for example, we're always considered savage. And so usually what you get from dudes is you must be hot in the sack. It must be wild with you. That's typically what you get from guys.
Or like how like some like white
I've always
guys
loved
like
exotic women. You mean people from Cleveland?
or how like some like white guys would describe like Latina women or like black women as like spicy or fiery, as it were, or like yeah.
Oh, my
Jungle
word!
fever, yellow fever. Ugh.
The things I have seen, because I recently made the mistake of trying to go back on FetLife, which used to be a more interesting space for discussing kink stuff, and it is now
Unicorn hunters and fetishists. Well, I mean, it's supposed to be for fetishists, but
no, specifically
creepy fetishists.
like what Jonathan was just talking about, particularly with like towards Latina women and black women and such. Not as many indigenous people on the site for pretty good reason, because that would get worse.
Yeah, that's one thing I was just about to say. When you're Native American, I don't want to say that you have it worse, but there are aspects which are worse than other races, and one of those aspects is we are more rare. And so when we are found in other spaces, people tend to glom on, and like anybody who has any kind of romanticized view, fetishized view, otherized view, they glom on to you. And so you get the absolute trolliest trolls and the absolute most devoted devos.
Oh gods.
Oh God.
And the most like it's the extreme on everybody's spectrum. You get them because you're the most rare of all the different quote unquote exotic ethnicities. And that's what it is with white people. Anything that's not white is exotic.
Yeah.
And because there's hardly any Native Americans that you can identify, we don't usually pop up and vocalize who we are. And we're kind of, we're a brown that kind of blends in with all the other browns and white eyes.
Yep.
So you're Latina? No.
Well, see, that's the funny part is a lot of Latinas are indigenous peoples.
Yeah, exactly. When like people say like go back to Mexico, it's like, dude, they border across us, as it were. We were always here. This where we live.
Hispanic people were in America before America was America.
Yeah, and it's like Joe and Robertson brought up about the word Hispanics, where it's like mean of Spain, and as a word, and it just it's become a word to describe like people who
Both
speak
Hispanic
Spanish.
And Latin are bad terms for indigenous,
exactly,
Central and South Americans.
Right. Which is why it's like I will use the term that like people are most comfortable like using, like where there's like a Latino or Latinx, as it were. or if it's Spanish, and that's why some like Juan Gonzalez have chose to like use all of those kind of like words in like his book that he recently wrote as well. But yeah, it's important to learn and respect the words that like people want to be used referring to them as well. It's just like always remember that, and it's always good. It's always a good thing to learn a new thing as well.
Yeah, I learned the other day that there are actually autistic people that prefer to hear person first language.
Yep, that's it. Yep.
I'm a person with autism, and I'm like, there's people who still say that. And I didn't get it because I'm like, online, I'm in spaces that are autistic, that the autistic people there are like me, where they fully embrace their autism, they celebrate it, and you wouldn't do, a person with autism sounds so weird. Like I'm a person with the flu. It's not the flu. Like
you're a fluist.
I'm a person with a disability. No,
I'm just fucking disabled.
I'm disabled.
right.
I did find out at one point, I think it was when I was in New Jersey, one of the big groups that I don't always like a lot of the things they do or ideas they push, that's a disability advocacy group that has a lot of able people at the head, because a lot of them are caregivers. ACT. I think it's just called ACT. Or no, the ARC. That's what's called. ARC.
Okay.
They actually, in some states, full on are the reason why, like, paperwork I've had to fill out for things like a handicap placard and stuff like that say all the language is person first language, because they actually like have it as one of their policies to go out and advocate for person first language, and they get their lobbying in, and they get but but I've looked into their organization, and a lot of the people in their organization are caregivers, not disabled people. And they push this whole ideology. They push but we want to see the person first and not the disability thing. That really feels very alienating to a person like me. So it's like, people are like, oh, but you could go there and be recognized. Like, no, because they like, I was at like when I was homeless, I was like told, oh yeah, there's like an adult day club you can go to and hang out, so you can like have something to eat and have some place to be that isn't the hotel. And they like want you to like everybody to say these pledges and things, and it's a little culty. They really try to push their ideology on you in a lot of these groups that I've seen. That it's like, oh, but we're for different kinds of disabled people, and then like and here you are, all these able people who are handing out these pieces of paper and telling me I have to read it. This is the reason why I don't. There's a reason why there are a bunch of disability organizations out there I've been told I could go to for resources. I don't, because I do not feel seen as a person there.
It's kind of like Autism Speaks.
Yeah. It's like, and like Joe McCoy has said, like, I used to work for like ARC. It was primarily an organization led by caregivers. Context wrench. The ARC is still like shit and run shelter workshops and like 14 season make them monies. It's not a club, it's a exploitation hub. Yep, sounds like it. But I also Joe McCoy, well done. The next time I have the flu, I'm going to like say I'm fluid. Hey, that was a good one. You're allowed to say where you are, and we're not going to tell you to go and sit in the corner.
Whenever I hear person first language, I just think it's washing the disability out of the person.
Yeah.
Like, let's try and distance this person from what they're actually going through,
Hmm.
so that we don't have to think about it. It's like, no, no, think about it, please.
this this is a broken person. This is not a normal person, but we can help them make them normal. It's like, bitch, have you read the history of the word use of word normal? I read a bit about that. The normal man does
Being
not
paid
exist.
by Cade, but
Whenever you say that, Jonathan, I'm just thinking white person finds out the term normal and now tells all their friends.
We need to Columbus being normal.
No, there's things that disabled people need that are different, but instead of giving them to the disabled people, let's just change the language so that we don't have to think about it.
Yeah,
We could
it's
make the
like,
world a better place. Or we could put you somewhere where no one will ever see you again.
oh, so like just like children,
So
people that they can be seen but not heard.
so the Nazi solution.
Well, I was
Yes.
thinking the asylum solution. So not necessarily killing people, just locking them up in a dark hole. So it's the American solution before
Well, I mean,
eugenics.
the Nazis did a lot of locking people up in dark holes as well.
Yes.
You have to remember before they
And of course,
started.
they learned it from us. Oh, that reminds me. I wanted to make a meme showing
I
the
think they
dad.
learnt it from Europe.
Wanted to make a meme, showing a dad holding a picture of genocide, but his head's the American flag. Where did you learn to do this? And then it shows the kid saying, "I learned it from watching you," and his head is the Nazi flag.
Yep. Mhm. Well, I think it's a good time to like
We've
and
gone over an hour and a half.
yeah. So, any other just like quick final thoughts or like any other things to like share about like asexuality or like Indigenous Peoples Days or anything like that?
Every day is Indigenous Peoples Day for some of us.
It's true, very true.
That's all I gotta add. Get to your local tribes.
Yes, I am on the Dumawash's land, or like, and Puyallup nearby, Muckleshoot's nearby, Tulip's nearby. Some of them are not just the name of the casinos, Muckleshoot and Tulip, but some of them is actually names of cities. Puyallup is where.
Like
And,
Milwaukee.
like Milwaukee, yes, the good land. And the Dumawash is still trying to like be recognized federally, and so good luck to them on that as well. Land back, people, land back.
It's an
And
anarchist movement.
yes, and like how I learned about the Zapatistas reading their timeline, not last Saturday, but Saturday before last. And so, yeah, definitely know your local tribes. Explore your area, explore. Uh,
Last thing I would have to say on the asexuality thing is fuck the Nazis. Um,
but we don't want to fuck them as well.
no, no, no. I'm just like you look at it back in time when it comes to the white history of asexuality, and it's like, oh yeah, a lot of this research. Oh, it's that sexology institute in Germany. Oh, the one that was burnt by the Nazis. Yeah,
The Institute
okay.
for Sex Research. I've
Yeah.
translated it from German.
We lost so much of like research on and literature for like trans people, for queer people, for like asexual people, for all sorts of like different non-cis heteronormative people, just because the Nazis wanted to like, well, I guess return things to normal. Yes. Any websites to like plug or anything like resources to like share around? Trying to remember if there were some good ones.
I'm writing up a bunch into chat, including the Asexuality, Visibility, and Education Network. There is the website for the International Asexuality Day, which has more of a focus on asexuality outside of the English-speaking world. Um,
Could
we
you
should get a link to Gasman Benalt's YouTube channel.
I'll have the link right here for like Yasmin Bennett's YouTube channel. I'll put it in the chat right now.
And I'll link the ACT ACE's asexual experiences study again.
Mm-hmm. So it's like also like excellent resources too. Trying to find them, but like oh, there's an ooh, okay. That's good. Like I'll say go to that tweet and see if it has like a link to like okay, no, it's a link to the Twitter. Okay. Oh yeah, this is like the slide I want to like share. Asexuality.org. The Asexuality Visibility and Education Network. I think that's a good resource to like start there as well. I know there's like a also one for like aromanticism, which is also the like another thing to consider as well.
Asexuality.org is AVEN. It's what people usually call it.
Oh, okay.
But,
cool.
Asexuality Visibility and Education Network. They've been around since 2001, I believe. So they've been around quite a while. Though they're not the greatest resource anymore. But
I will say with AVEN on what is on the front facing pages, from my experience as being ace, I wasn't able to quite identify with that. I had to go hunt down stuff which included stuff that turned out to be on the AVEN forums.
AVEN forums are great.
Which were discussions by ace people who do actually have interest both in kink and sexual experiences.
The AVEN forums is where a lot of terminology like demisexual or grey sexual, that's where it comes from. It's from their forums. So yeah, their front facing pages is not very good. That's what I should have said. Sorry.
There's also like aromanticism.org, which like is maybe a decent place to like start to like know about like aromanticism and to like get further education. And maybe the forums are like much better than like the front facing site as well. Yeah, I think like oh yeah, there's also like an additional International Asexual Day. There will be an Asexual Awareness Week eventually, sometime soon or sometime later. I gotta remember when those dates are as well. But yeah, I think I'm Summer and a Geek. I'm Summer and Geek on Twitter. I'm Summer and Geek on YouTube. I'll eventually put up more YouTube videos eventually sometime soon. And Summer and Geek on Twitch. I'm going to be like streaming some Stardew Valley later today. Just like stream that and like chat about the various things.
Jonathan.
What?
I just posted the Ace Week.
Nice. Okay, cool. So yep, and John Brockman, you're part of the charity links page. Don't forget that. Give Phoenix money, give Jordan Roberts money. Joey Fire Lame Deer, you have a Patreon. I almost forgot about that. I'm probably your one patron, but I will find your Patreon and then like provide the link into the live chat as well, so that way other people can like give you money. Hey, so that like yeah. Because no, that's not it. Nope, but that helps me. So Joy Fire Lame Deer. Here we go. Even if you're not doing anything with it, that's where hopefully
yes, because I also need to beg to live.
Yeah. If you have like a Cash App or PayPal or anything like that, or a GoFundMe, you can definitely link that to me. I'll put in the shared links page, and I'll share around those links as well. So I share around links for Joanna and like Phoenix, because like. Fuck the ableist like disability benefit system that's in the USA. And
yeah, no shit.
And John Brockman, you're part of another podcast, aren't you?
Indeed, I am. Dungeons and Debacles, D&D podcast. Very different, a lot of fun. Except we're cops now.
It's all going well until we became cops.
We turned the fire hose on people. You used the decanter of endless water as a fire hose on protesters.
It just means you've gotten a super soaker.
See, when my party picked up a decanter of endless water, we used it to against an invading vampire army who were acting like cops and basically taking over the cops so they could be worse cops. Not to be cops.
Oh.
Life is hard. All right. Bye-bye, everybody. You can't see me waving
Bye-bye.
because I'm a cat now.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.